Yeah, no.
Good evening. I am Manish Shankar Chaudhary, student ambassador representing my company Incubatia. At Incubatia, we are committed to providing the students educational services needed for their career development. It's a platform bringing together the best trainers for students, guidance, and counseling that they need, being stationed at the Silicon Valley of India, Bangalore. It is our aim to reach every student in need. In today's world, artificial intelligence already has become a part of our lives with the ongoing situation of coronavirus. Our dependency on these machines have increased tenfold. Hence, in today's topic, we will be discussing about the greatest dangers of AI, which will be started by our CEO and founder, Mr. Musa Khan. Over to you, sir.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back. And really great to see all of you. So, starting today's conference, we have with us two fabulous guests, Muhammad Umar and Muhammad uh, Saqib Shah. So these two guys, they have done their fair share of experimenting in the field. They know what not about AI, and they'll be helping us give a general description on what is AI and what is going to be the effect of AI in the coming years. So welcome, Mohammed. Welcome, Saqib. And let's get started, shall we?
Thanks, Musa,
Yeah,
for the
thank you
intro.
for having us here.
Yeah.
So the first question I would like to pose is to the both of you. Maybe Saqib, you can give us an educational perspective of it, and Uma, you can give us an implementational level definition of what AI is. What is AI, and how much should the general public know about this new technology, or is it even new? Umar, over to you.
Yeah. So AI in general, what it is basically a human cloned, but far more better at doing computations and stuff than human is. So it's basically a superhuman. So what AI generally is, it could be broken down. First is the training, then the testing and the implementation. The training is just like bring up the data from the real world, putting up on the computer or whatever the sensors and the stuff you have, and trying to train it for the real world implications that the AI should respond to. That's generally what AI is.
Cool, cool. So we got a general definition of what AI is, and um, so could you tell us like what is the educational aspect of AI and how is it being taught in colleges around the world right now?
Yeah, sure. The educational aspect of AI is, I'd say it's more or less what Omar just explained to you. And AI is being the actual mathematics which is behind AI, because it's very complex and very, I'd say, deep. You need to know a lot of maths to implement AI or to learn about it, if you really want to go from the university's point of view. But if you really don't, if you just want to implement it, if you just want to get things quickly in production, then AI is as easy to implement as you can say write a Python script. If you know how to use how to code in basic basic these languages, programming languages, then there are a lot of modules, there are a lot of things which you can with which you can implement this very easily. And but in from the educational point of view, from the course point of view, it gets really complex. You need to learn the mathematics, you need to go through certain parts of mathematics which are very complex, and that's what forms the basis of AI from a university's perspective. I hope I answered your question.
Yeah, that was a great answer. Thank you very much for that. And now we've gone into some of the definitions of AI. Um, can you guys like try to explain to me, where has AI been implemented so far? Where is it being implemented in the future? What do you know that is currently, what applications are currently out there where we can, take up, or where we can identify that, okay, this is AI run?
Yeah,
It has been
maybe.
implemented. So if you ask me this
Yeah,
question, I would say everywhere. Anything that you see around yourself, and that is into technology, it has AI into it. Like smart TVs, smartphones. There are smartphones coming up, smart homes coming up every day, and there is IT getting into the picture. Hell, a lot of stuff is completely gathering ourselves around it. So I say it's everywhere. That would be my answer.
yeah.
Where have
I
you
think
observed AI?
Yeah, I think I'll agree with Umar on this point as well, because if you look around yourself, I'll just be quick, and I'll take a few examples. Whenever you do a Google search, the Google actually uses AI to predict what your search is going to be. If you have noticed, whenever you type "how can I be," a millionaire will pop up at Google, from the Google side. There'll be a list of those searches which will pop up on there. That is actually AI in action. Where else can you see? If you ask me, whenever you book a cab, or whenever you want to get from one destination to another, and you use Google Maps, and it shows you a red line that this road is blocked, or there might be traffic and you should not go from this way, then I think that there we can see AI actually in action. Apart from that, I'll say in recent times there was an app called Face App, and a lot of people were very. That was a trending app. A lot of people were making, clicking pictures and posting them on Instagram and other social medias. All of that, that predicting how you will look after a certain time, or after maybe 20 years, that is AI in action. That is actually the basis for that app are in AI. There are a few other examples. I'll say whenever you take a flight from a place from one place to another place, your pilot actually just flies that plane for 7 minutes. The rest of the thing is being controlled by the rest of the time. The plane is being controlled by an AI. You just think over it. AI is everywhere. You walk, even in your homes. Whenever you buy a product from Amazon, maybe there is a part of an AI that has helped you that product reach your home. So that's my answer. It's everywhere. Everywhere you can see. Hello.
Okay, cool. Thank you for that option. Guys, we hear from many people that, AI is going to take over the world, AI is going to do this, AI is going to do that. We're going to have another version of, Terminator, and, it's going to be the end of the world. Like, I want you, like, you're people who are actually in the technology, you use this technology in so many of your projects, you're working on them currently. Tell me, why has that fear come into the general public? Why do people think like that? And like you said, there's like, if we even make a decision, a purchase decision, AI is assisting us in that. And where is the turning point where AI will no longer assist us, but AI might even command us or control us? Where is that point? I want to know where that point is. Umar, can you give your views on this? And
Yeah. So this question is actually not suitable for an open debate. It would take you days and months to cover this topic. It's that huge. But from just a
can you
brief overview
summarize
of
it for
what
us,
our
where
question,
this origin comes from?
yeah. See, there are three potential threats, or what I would say is three potential reasons for why this fear is being rumored. One is data getting every day, the data that is being collected from everybody's smartphones and stuff. It is becoming more and more huge. And I'll tell you why it's a concerning threat. Next is the hardware getting implemented with the software. Now, coming to the second point, which is hardware getting implemented with software. Now, hardware is a is an ocean of opportunities. You have your proximity sensors, you have your gyroscope sensors, and stuff like that. If you look into and if you research back in, I guess, 2000s, Boston Dynamics, what they did was they basically took a spring and piston, and they tried balancing a robot by hopping it. Okay, that was just the start. But coming forward to 2016, now they have a functional robot, a robot dog and a robot. And you know why this happened? That's because of the sensor getting advanced. The proximity sensors got better. The gyro sensors got better, which got into better handling of the robot. And coming from 2000 to 2015, the general computing hardware got better. The GPUs got better. The CPUs got better. Intel has been working on very, like, it's an exponential growth, I would say. So these are the concerns of hardware and software getting implemented. The next is the data. Generally, what AI deep learning models would be is they take in data, they process over it, they try to figure out the patterns. Somehow they try to figure out the patterns, and then they try to look for the answers. If the answer, then it is implemented. If it's no, then it does all the back propagation and things. These are some of the generally in AI works. So the more you train it, the better it. And there is abundance of data that is being over the cloud and stuff like that. So I would say these are some of the concerns that has been the reasons why AI is being into a concern. And the other thing is stuff like these, things. So I would say that these are some of the things that would be concerns over why AI is a danger. Over to you, Sahib.
Okay. So from what I understand is for AI to work, there are two components. One is the data input, that is the data, and another
Yeah.
is the hardware input.
Yeah. The hardware abundance, I would say. The hardware getting improved every day, I would say.
Achha. Okay. So can you tell me how, say for example, I want to know there's a particular process that my company does, or I'm an employee at a particular company, and there's a particular process that I do on a daily basis. Now, how likely is it that going forward in 5 to 10 years, how can we what do you call it? Can it be substituted? Can my role be taken by an AI?
What I would say for now is there's not much potential for replacing an employee for which the AI is being worked on. There are many other problems that AI is being used and worked on. So for now, at least for the next 20 years, there is no potential threat of employees getting, AI getting over employees or something like that. It's a later issue that might be concerning.
Okay. And since we're touching upon the hardware aspect, I would like to ask you, Amar, what is the implications of IoT?
For me to answer this, let me just give you a general overview of what IoT is. So what I said before was about sensors and stuff like these. What IoT is, just trying to bring all these sensors together and trying to build something new out of it. How the drones and how the smart homes came up is all these sensors getting fusion. And this is actually a new technology in itself, sensor fusion technology. So IoT and AI getting together, that is something that will open a lot of opportunities in a good way and in a bad way. The problem here is the regulations that we need to put in, the restrictions that we need to put in for it to stop. Because hardware, telling it again and again, hardware is an ocean because you have abundance of data that is coming out of hardware. You can lit that.
Hello. Yeah, Umar.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
you're basically saying that if AI is basically a
Hello.
network of process. Yeah.
I
You're
will.
basically saying that
I can't hear you properly.
yeah, can you hear me better?
I think your voice is breaking,
Hello?
both of you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was saying that AI is you have AI is basically a network of values that you've assigned, and it's a network of processes, correct?
Hello, sir?
Yeah, and
Yeah. Yeah. Go on.
yeah. So you basically said that there is AI is a set of inputs or values that you assign to a network of data points, and basically data is being processed in its own unique way through the AI, correct?
Hmm. So
So,
how about this? Yeah. So how about this? Um, Say you have something to do. Okay, there's a work that is being assigned to you. Okay, what
okay,
generally a human uh, what generally a human would try to figure out is how to get this done in few permutations and combinations. Like these are the things. These are chances and permutations I could do to finish this work, and these are some of the chances that I could do to finish this work. So there is branch of things that you can do to finish the same work, right? And this is what goes on and stretches the hand out to AI, and where neural networks come in place. So neural networks are basically the neurons that I would say in biological terms, these are the neurons in the brain, which branch out to make decisions or the electric impulses that function the human body. So AI and neural networks in AI work in the same way. They take your data and they permutate out every chance of it. So literally, they try out trial and error, and they try to bring up answer. It's like how a kid learns to walk. It tries to stand up, it falls down, and then one step at a time. So this is how an AI learns to.
okay. So basically, for this kid to start learning in a proper way, then it needs a lot of data inputs, correct?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, and you've already touched up that data like it's growing by the day when we have so many smart devices around us. Now, could you touch up on the topic of like what is happening to our data? Like, say for example, I'm using my smartphone and like I'm performing my normal functions, and there's data being generated like my search history, my typing speed, my typing patterns, my language, everything is being processed, and now even my speech is being processed. So that's a lot of data. Like a lot of my
yeah.
individual data is being put into my device. Now what's happening to
Mhm.
that data? How are companies using it? And like, is there something called how effective is cybersecurity? Is my data being safe? Like what's the current view on that?
Yeah. So if you speak about the individual data that is being computed every day or taken up, I would say it is a concern over privacy. But then this data is generally now being used for targeting advertisements, I would say, because major big dogs like Facebook, Google, and stuff, they hold on to their business aspects of selling you advertisements. So recommending you a product, trying to get a sale out of it. That's their main concern, and how they're using your data and implementing it through AI to recommend you the products and the sales that would be generally viable for you, and you would click on it.
Mhm. Also, we
So
hear about data being leaked out into the web, and lakhs and lakhs of user data is being leaked out, and even Facebook has no longer become very efficient in shielding our data from external attacks. So, how reliable are these platforms, and should we be concerned about our data? What should we be? What is our perspective? How should we make our move going forward, because these data inputs are being put into a AI engine, they are being put into processes, and data points are being configured to suit us for user experience, of course, but there is always a possibility that this can be used for other applications as well.
well, I guess it's kind of too late now to talk about this because it's already out there. They know you better than you know yourself, I would say. Because
Yes, I would agree to that.
yeah, because this data is being up there for almost 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, a month, a year, and it's like 24/7 already. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this data is through the mic of your smartphone, through the cameras and stuff like that. Not maybe not camera, but some apps do use that data too.
Okay.
So it's already out there, and this is being used for general purposes like advertisements and stuff like that, but also in improving how AI would respond to humans. And this data is, slowly implementing AI into your homes. It's like bringing a robot into your homes, and the robot already knows about you.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I can add to that one point
Sure,
that
sure.
that is really relevant here is that some time ago that Facebook was trying to tackle hate speech on its platform. So what it did was that it employed a lot of people. These people, they were manually going through all the hate speech on Facebook's network, and they were
Mm-hmm.
removing it. But what they
Mm-hmm.
didn't know was that at the same time Facebook was training an AI based software which was training to recognize this hate speech. So whenever they clicked this and that a certain type of post was hate speech, the
Mm-hmm.
AI knew that next time it sees this type of content, this type of line, this type of writing style, it needs to flag it as hate speech. Now
Mm-hmm.
it is so efficient that the Facebook has done away with most of the human part of that thing. So
Process.
yeah, that process, humans have been removed from that process to a lot of extent. Now the AI is doing the main jobs, and the people are checking whether the AI is doing the right thing or not. So it's like 90% human free right now. So that is where we see
That is a
what.
great
Yeah,
point. And branching off into that, Umar, do you have anything to add?
yeah. That's actually a great point. Because it's actually favorable at the same point. Because if you put in human work to do such kind of tasks, there is a lot of chance that a human might miss out a post which is bad.
Yeah,
He
yeah,
might miss out because a human gets tired in the end. He
yeah,
might not work for long hours and try to figure out that everything is right or wrong. But that's not same for the machine, and
yeah.
that's where the machine outweighs human.
Right, 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 right.
Yeah.
So coming to the point that both of you have really sprung up when like replacing humans, and I believe like especially in the manufacturing industry, industry with industry 4.0 being half implemented on in major parts of China, in major parts of India, in many major manufacturing countries where automation has really taken at par, and a lot of employees have been laid off even before this current recession. They've already been laid off, and what like how how badly can you automate the manufacturing sector?
Uh, I think that the manufacturing sector, the best example of this would be Amazon's delivery process. So inside their warehouse, there's an environment which actually got into a lot of fire because of some accidents, but now it's working perfectly seamlessly. Most of their workforce is robots, and the process is being controlled by robots. From the process of loading things, packaging, where you can see the conveyor belts, everything is automated. Humans come into picture very minimally. So I think it's gone to such an extent that 90% of the process, I'd say, it would be safe to say that 90% of the process has already been automated
Okay,
because
so
of
90% is a very conservative number that you're saying. So you're saying that it may be more than 90% also, but on a
yeah,
conservative end,
yeah,
90%.
yeah, yeah.
Wow, wow. Umar,
Yeah.
can you tell me a
So
bit more about this?
yeah. So previously I said a point that employment would not be a phase. I mean, in the next 5-10 years, employment would not be a concern, right? So this is actually true because in the next 5 to 10 years, there isn't much hardware that small industries would be using. So, in the point of small industries and stuff like that, employment might not be an issue. But for the big dogs like Amazon, Facebook, and Google, these guys are working hard to implement AI at full force. As Saqib pushed on the point of Amazon's warehouses, and there's actually been a news about Zomato using drones for deliveries, and Amazon also too working on drones for deliveries and stuff like that. So I guess most of the non-subjected work would be under AI, and the subjected work would be under humans, where developing and upgrading AI more and more would be under humans. And the other part, which is the man force and the things, the labor part and stuff like that. So I guess that would go under AI in the next few years.
Okay, so we can easily expect greater automation in all industries, not just manufacturing.
Yeah.
What about the
If you
service industry? What about the service industry? We've already touched on the manufacturing end. We've already touched on the computing end. What about the service industry? Services such as we've already hit delivery. What about medication? What about doctors? What about that industry? What's going to happen over there, Umar?
Before we get on to that, I would like to add one more point to the manufacturing industry.
Okay.
If you see car makers all around the world now, and if you compare it with what Tesla is doing, Tesla is going on to automate it completely. It's now on the verge where everything is being manufactured by the computer and the machines itself out there. Just some of the parts are being handled by the humans. So automation in the automobile industry would also be a huge impact of how AI is going to be implemented. And touching on the other subjects, as you said, in the service industry, I would say now these days we are seeing a lot of bots, chat bots and technical call bots and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So most of the service industries might have a hit due to all this stuff because you don't have to implement call centers and stuff like that. In the past, I guess 7 or 8 months before, Google Duplex was introduced, which was the AI agent would speak to you. It would book an appointment on itself, and stuff like that. So it is generally a replacement for what a human was doing.
Okay, so basically, all the BPO operations are going to be hit dramatically.
Yeah. All the non-subjected work, I would say.
And coming back to the medication industry, the medical industry, pharmaceuticals, medical therapy. Umar?
Yeah. So on the medical industry, I would say there has already been a lot of machinery that is being produced. Like we saw the Da Vinci machine, which was being used for, which was already tested on a grape. For the operations, the minor operations that would generally not be done by the hands. So the macro part of the operation would be done by the machine. So intuitive that you can use your hands, but then the machine is doing all the work out there. So in the pharmacy industries, many chemical compositions that are used to create these medicines, so these are being permitted and combined and trying to find out answers for that through the neural network. So you put in a lot of compositions to feed into a neural network, and then it gives out you an answer of the substrates that all of these combinations would combine and give you out, and what possibly these medications could cure.
Yeah.
So these are some of the things. Yeah. So these are some of the things that are being done. Yes.
Would you like to add anything,
Yeah.
Saqib?
Recently, during this coronavirus crisis, what we saw that IBM came forward with its AI, and IBM being a resource-rich company, put its supercomputers to some use, and its AI actually gave a list of 200 medicines that could possibly be a cure for coronavirus. So we can see that the med industry, especially the pharmaceuticals industry, is massively being targeted by these AI giants, I'd say.
Right. That's great. Another thing that I would like to really bring up or touch upon is supercomputers. I think you just mentioned it right now. Supercomputers, quantum computing. These are all, from what I have heard, these are all the next generation, computing power. This is the next generation computing power. And from what I've heard, they're so fast that current computers would be like snails in front of them.
Mm.
How is that computing power? And if you combine it with AI, so how is that going to turn out? And um, is there any point at which it's going to turn dangerous? What type of elements would make it dangerous? So, Umar, could you just brief up on that?
Pardon me if you just brief that question again.
Quantum computing, how can it either support AI or how can it ruin everything?
Quantum computing is basically making things faster at a very macro level, because quantum is something that you can perceive everything in a very fast speed. There is no dimensionality differences between that, because when you're generally using a computer, you're using hard disk and hard drives and stuff like that, so there are a lot of physical constraints there. But in quantum computing you might not find that. So pacing up and speeding up the stuff is what generally quantum computing is doing.
Mhm. Good, good. And is there any possible way that, we got a question from Kushi Goel from the live chat. Is it like how might nanotechnology be implemented with AI?
Mhm.
I've not been briefed upon nanotechnology much about that, but the example that which I gave you in the medication sector, which is the Da Vinci's robot and stuff like that, I guess
Right.
robots like these might help in great improvements in
Mm-hmm.
nanotechnology, and automating these robots through AI.
Mm-hmm.
That would help a lot, because
Good, good.
Yeah.
because these robots are already good at what they're doing than what humans can be
Right.
over surgeries and stuff
There is
like
a lot
that.
of nanotechnology being used in the medical field
Yeah,
right now.
these robots are really precise at doing a surgery than a human can do.
Right, right.
Yeah. So
Sakib, would you like to add anything to that if you know anything about it?
Yeah, the nanotechnology part, in combination with AI, we can see it actually in many different fields. For example, there's this disaster management robots, which are built from the nanotechnology point of view. So these nanobots can get into places where other robots or other humans couldn't get. So in case of a disaster, these bots get into tight spaces and look for survivors and persons who might need help. These bots have been trained with AI in combination with AI, so that they can be perform a much better job at finding these people. So these are some fields that we can recognize nanotechnology in combination with AI. There was a
Good,
recent
good.
paper which was in a university. I don't exactly remember the name of the university. In which people were actually trying to develop your contact lenses, which would be
Right,
made
right.
by nanomaterials, and
Uh-huh.
AI would be used to add some functionality to those lenses. It's a very sci-fi like
Nice.
idea, but I think
Mm-hmm.
in the coming years we might see that in the market.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Then I think we should start the Q&A because we have quite a few questions that have come in. And the first question is from Shalini, and her question is AI in agriculture, in the agriculture industry today.
yeah, it is quite helpful if we implement. I mean, it's already being implemented. AI is being implemented in the agriculture, where just by taking pictures of a leaf, where the leaf is eaten by insect, or it is actually or it is actually infected by something. So these are the stuff that AI is trying to capture. So in the agriculture sector, I would think from the educational point of view, AI would be helpful, and in growing sophisticated agriculture and trying to use good pesticides, good combinations of pesticides, and fertilizers too would be a boom for AI in agriculture industry.
Cool. So, the next question that we have is any views on Sophia? I would like Umar and both of you to contact.
Yeah.
Sophia, the chatbot, right?
Right.
I mean, the robot, which not the chatbot actually, but
Yeah,
but
the
a fully functional robot. Yeah. What are your views on it, Saqib?
Yeah, I think what I don't think I understand the question properly, but I think what she's trying to ask is it good or is it bad?
Yeah.
Is that what you mean? Then I think there's a gray line between good and bad. I think that if we implement humanoid robots with AI functionality within limits, within controlled environments, then they might not be as bad as portrayed in the Terminator series, and we might get a lot of good things out of them. Like we can use these bots as we are seeing in many restaurants. Even in Bangalore, there's one restaurant which is using robots to serve things. If we can create humanoid robots which with far greater intelligence than a human, then we might be able to solve difficult problems that we have been trying to tackle over a period of time, like the Einstein's problem with the relativity and other such problems. And those robots might be the way to go forward with the human. Sorry, am I audible?
Yeah.
Yeah, so those robots might be the way to go for the humankind. But as of now, there is a lot of rumors. There are a lot of rumors, and I'd say there's a lot of fear among the people. I'd say it's because of lack of knowledge about these things, and we should really try to improve our knowledge in regards to these topics. That's my point of view on this.
Closing in on our discussion, I would want to know, say for example, what would a person need to learn in order to be on the edge with regards to artificial intelligence? Say for example, tomorrow my employer comes to me and tells me that, we're putting together a system, we're putting together an AI bot, and like you guys said that the same thing with Facebook, they hired a lot of people to do to report abusive content or spammy content, and the AI was trained alongside these people to implement it. So that's for sure that AI won't be suddenly implemented. So I have assurance until the AI learns enough. How can I be on how can I be on the support side when the AI is implemented? How can I, retain my job as support either for the AI or for the function? How can I, be in the middle or there? Because that is an opportunity that opens up when AI comes. Support for AI needs to be created, and if it's application based, then application based support would be the next requirement after implementing AI. So, how do you recommend anybody to go about learning the application-based support?
There are actually multiple ways you can go about learning into and getting into AI. I'd say you should consider doing this because it'll be a very relevant skill in the coming days. That if you have a basic working knowledge of how it works and how your industry might be affected by it, then your employer might be able to use you as a resource, a very useful resource rather. So if you want to get into AI, actually AI is a very broad thing to talk about when you talk about learning AI. And I think we need to distinguish between what the different parts of AI are. So the most basic, I'd say, the entry step to artificial intelligence would be something that we call machine learning. What machine learning is like, you're actually telling the machine how to do a task without specifically coding that specifically coding that machine. So what you're trying to do is, as Umar said, you're trying to make a baby learn, and that's how we want to that's what we want to learn in the beginning. Machine learning should be your first set of things that you want to tackle as
Right.
a as a
Yeah.
student of
So
AI.
briefing. Yeah, briefing on that point, I would generally say that machine learning is nothing but you don't need to hard code every single thing for the machine to learn it. Like if this is the thing, you do this or that or this. You just get the data, train on it, and then it predicts a new answer for the data that it has never seen.
Yeah.
For the data, yeah. So it's generally this is what machine learning is. It
Umar,
predicts.
could you give me like a live example and then we'll go on to another question?
Say you have a lot of pictures of skin cancer, I would say. Okay.
Okay.
You could use this data. Basically, what a skin cancer is, you would get a scar-like thing on your skin, and the doctors would try to find out if that cancer is benign or malignant. So, what AI would help here is the doctors would take a lot of pictures in the training phase. I'm telling. So they would take a lot of pictures and they would try to feed it into a machine learning model. Now the machine learning model would with the answers, of course. So it would trial run and try to make try to picturize the correct values of generalized. It would try to correct the generalized values for those images that is being given. So for that data, once it is trained, and now you give it a test data, which is you just give a random picture from somewhere that it has never seen. Now the machine is able to predict whether the cancer is malignant or benign.
Yeah.
Okay.
A much simpler example would be a problem of addition. So what you are trying to do is teach the machine that how addition works without explicitly saying that if I give you two numbers, you give me the sum of this number. You just give him it a collection of data, say 2 plus 3, 5 plus 7, and with the results. And what the machine should be able to find is the pattern for how addition works. That will be a much simpler example.
Yeah,
We got
that's
a
right.
more technical question that has come up. What is the difference between classic AI and statistical AI?
I think Umar might be able to tackle that one.
Classic AI and statistical AI. I think I don't understand that question properly in the sense, statistical and classic AI. If you could just brief
Guys,
out those
if
categories, maybe.
Fiza Rahman, if you could respond in the chat and let us know what you really mean by, would really help. Going on to the next question, what about the employment rate that will affect where when there are so many rapid advancements in the changing technology with the help of AI? I think Mayur, you are trying to ask uh, how will the economy be affected and what will happen to the unemployment rate. So from a statistical question, I will answer the economics part of it, and Umar, maybe you can try to try to explain why this would happen.
Hmm.
I think the unemployment rate will initially decrease. Will initially increase to it will reach a particular peak and then it will go down really fast and really subtly that there'll just be so much more opportunities after it reaches the peak. So due to AI, they'll reach a particular peak, and this will happen from an industry to industry basis. It won't happen like all industries at once. That won't happen. And this has already happened in the manufacturing industry, that a lot of automation has already taken place. So there's a huge unemployment rate that is currently at a spike. So now it's going to start decreasing when AI is going to open the door for many more opportunities. What is your opinion, Umar, and how does
Generally,
this
what I would
happen?
yeah. So generally, what I would say is there are some things that a human can't do. In the sense, manufacturing of semiconductors, and these ICs and the transistors, smaller transistors and stuff like that. So here, robotics, not generally not AI, but robotics and robots in itself are very sophisticated, so that they can be more precise at this. So we need machine support here. But from the AI perspective, what I think is every day we have another paper coming in, another research paper on AI that is coming in. So huge advancements are being done in this field. The unemployment here would decrease only in some of the areas, in the sense where the AI is hugely being deployed. The research part, though, will have a higher employment rate. The research for the AI will increase.
Right.
So hence the employment in the research field for the AI would increase. I would say.
Understood.
Yeah, I think
Only
what
some of
I think what his Umar is trying to say is that there won't be less employment, but there'll be a shift of where the employment is needed. So people in the research field will be much more required than, and people which can implement this which can implement AI and machine learning, rather than the people who have these skills, industry skills, which we see right now in being in the employment sector.
Right. So, guys, we have 6 minutes left of our stream. So, to summarize everything up, here's what I think that in all of what you guys have said, here's what I think you guys should do going forward in your careers would be that learn up a language, preferably Python, because Python is what is currently being used to code in AI, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Python being used, right? So
Yeah, it's because
learn
Python
Python.
has a lot of research potential in it, and every day the libraries are being upgraded, like NumPy and Pandas. These are the libraries generally we use, and these are being researched upon, and more of advancements and more new features are being added to it every day.
Right. So it's kind of like having the whole Play Store with you in one window, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, so then that's a great opportunity for anybody and everybody. There are different applications to AI, like we've already discussed, and according to those applications, you may need to learn, one or two extra things along with Python in order to support the AI bot itself in the industry implications of it. So, say for example, you are in the manufacturing field or you are into design. Now, designs are also being automated, and
Yeah.
your role would basically be to be a functional slash, AI assistant. That would kind of be where your job role would be, and that is the portfolio that would keep expanding and elaborating.
Yeah. Well, I would like to add few points here. Because AI is booming every day, there's a lot of marketing jargon out there. There are a lot of courses and stuff like that that show you all these future things or future advancements that you can do right now, and people would think that that is really going to happen by learning just one course or something like that. So my point on AI is there is two aspects to it. AI through software and AI on hardware, I would say. Software is basically where you learn three major aspects of it, which is data science, machine learning. The way to go through a roadmap is the data science, machine learning, and then deep learning. Data science is where you learn about how to collect data and how to polish this data in the right way, where the machine learning is the software part of it, where you just make up models to predict on certain data and get answers to it. That's all it can do. And what deep learning or the next advancement of AI is here, this right here, the deep learning part, this is where it links hardware onto it. The natural language processing, face recognition, there is computer vision, there is reinforcement learning and stuff like these. So deep learning is major aspect where major research is going on. But there's a lot of marketing jargon that machine learning. If you learn machine learning, that's enough for you to build up robots and stuff like that. And building up
So
robots
that's
and
a
stuff like
myth.
that.
That's an industry myth that
Yeah,
one
that's an
course
industry.
can make you a pro.
Yeah, I have seen many trailers and promos of courses that will show you computer vision and just teach you about data science. So that is totally a marketing jargon. That's not going to
Okay,
happen.
what do
And
you suggest, Umar? Like, is there any course that you suggest on your own that people take up this course and it would really give them the fundamentals of everything? Maybe not the whole of it.
certainly,
Like you said, one course cannot complete,
yeah,
100% of it.
this is a very abundant field to talk about. One course or even there is no certain amount of courses that would be helpful for you to be perfect at AI. It's all about practicing and trying to build and trying to code and compute in a better way. That is what I would say. So this is a field where you just dive in, and then you get to know whatever the things are. This is how it
Okay,
works.
cool.
Yeah.
So one more question, one last question from Izara, Izaraj is how can AI be pursued as a career in psychology?
As a career in psychology, well, that's a good
Great
question.
opportunity, right?
Yeah. If you can think
Yeah.
about it, when you talk about psychology in general sense, there are a lot of stuff that comes into play. There are a lot of tests how psychologists take up,
Right.
or there are a lot
Psychometric
of things.
test and everything, right?
Yeah. So all of these
Yeah.
stuff, I guess it would be another potential for research in the upcoming years for AI.
Definitely.
Yeah, I really would like to add to that there are being advancements in AI which will enable people for diagnosis of conditions like Alzheimer's and mental health, conditions related to mental health and psychology. And really, people are pushing money into this, and people are trying to get hold of AI technology to combine with psychologists and tackle these problems. How we can detect Alzheimer's, how we can detect other mental health issues. This is something that is being done right
Right.
now.
And also,
Yeah.
like a little giveaway for everybody who's online right now. There's an app actually called Replica. If you go to Play Store and search Replica, it is basically a self-help AI bot. I have used it myself for a few months before just to experiment with the AI bot and see how it reacts and everything. And it is quite a marvel to be looking at. Somebody providing emotional and psychological support, and it's just a AI bot.
Yeah, I
So
would say these are some of the collection. They collect know what your mental status trying to improve. It's a good thing in AI actually. I would say one of the good aspects of why data should be collected or things like that.
right. So everybody, our time is up with Umar and Saqib, and even they have many things to do. So we would we would like to end this session here, but everybody, Umar and Saqib both are available on the Zeta community group. So if you have any questions, then you can post those questions on the Zeta community group, and they will be able to answer your questions over there. As of right now, this is all that we can do through live stream. So we would like to end the session at this. And I thank everybody. I thank the team and everybody who put their effort and time into organizing this. And special thanks to Umar and Saqib for turning up for this event and really giving their industrial perspective on some of these topics.
Yeah,
Yep. Thank you so much for
thank you.
having us up here, Musab.
Yeah, thank
It's
you.
been a
It was
great session. Yeah.
really
Anytime.
good.
Yeah.
You guys are coming back, and the community, I'm very sure I'm still getting questions in my inbox. You can head over to the Zeta community, and whenever you guys are free, then you guys can turn up. And another announcement for everybody who's tuned in is that we are creating a Zeta subgroup for everybody who is interested in AI and wants to learn more about it. And Saqib and Umar will be added to these subgroups, so you guys can also interact over there and get more, in detail, in depth guidance on these topics.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sure.
Yeah,
Thank you, Musab,
thank you.
for having us.
Sure,
Thank
Umar.
you.
See you then.
Yeah.
And Saqib, thank you much.
Thank you for
Deeply
having.
appreciated, and I'm very sure everybody else is also very happy to hear many things from you.
Yeah,
And I'm getting many congratulations and thank yous from the chat. So we did a great job. Thank you everybody for tuning in,
yeah,
and stay tuned for the next event. Please feel free to follow our Instagram page for more event updates and join the Zeta community for more free resources to develop your skills. Okay. See you
Yeah.
then, everybody. See you then. Bye bye.
See you. See you, Muslim.